Recording has started.
Okay, so we ended yesterday with different types of units of length measurement and their conversion. So today we want to look at operations with length measurement. How do we actually use those length measurements? So we're going to look at things that might look something like this. 4 feet, 6 inches, plus 7 feet, 5 inches. Now, if you recall back in the first couple of days, when we were doing operations with whole numbers, when we wrote them out in long form with the place values, they actually looked quite a bit like this. And when we're dealing with measurement, our place values basically become our units on the right, and we work our way backwards to the left. Well, we have 6 inches and 5 inches, makes 11 inches. Now, the difference here is, if this were a whole number, we'd have to carry something here because we can't have 2 digits in the same place value of a whole number. But being a measurement, we can have 2 digits there. We wouldn't carry until we hit 12. So we carry our 1. 1 and 4 is 5, plus 7 is 12 feet. It looks like my video froze up on me, didn't it? Are you guys able to hear me and see me okay yet?
Yes.
You are still, everything's still showing up on your screen?
It's froze.
It's froze, okay. Well, then let me log in with my second monitor here again. There, it looks like stuff is back. Hopefully it stays. So, of course, now this one here, we got 12 feet 11 inches just adding down the columns. But it doesn't always stay that easy. We could have 5 feet 7 inches plus 3 feet 9 inches. So here when we go and we add, again, starting at the end of the number, at the right, working our way back to the left, we have 7 plus 9 is 16 inches. Well, we can't have 16 inches there because that is more than 1 foot. So just like with whole numbers, we're going to keep part of it and we're going to carry part of it. This part's actually very similar to fractions. You can almost think of that, since there's 12 inches in a foot, you can almost think of that as 16 twelfths. And you break that down, 12 goes into 16 once with 4 left over. So the 1 is 1 foot. The 4 twelfths is the 4 inches that are left over. So then at this point, we'll keep the 4 inches in the inches column, and we carry the 1 foot over into the feet column. 1 and 5 is 6, plus 3 is 9 feet. Well, we have other units of length. We could have 3 yards, 2 feet, plus 5 yards, 2 feet. So when we add here, again, starting on the right, working our way backwards to the left, 2 feet plus 2 feet is 4 feet. Now again, this is more than a yard. There's 3 feet in a yard. I could think of that as 4/3 of a yard. 3 goes into 4 once with 1 left over, which makes that 4 feet is 1 yard and 1 foot left over. We keep our 1 foot. We carry the 1 yard. 1 and 3 is 4, plus 5 is 9 yards. We might have 3 rods and 4 yards, plus 5 rods 3 yards. Once again, we start on the right. We're going to work our way backwards to the left. 4 yards and 3 yards is 7 yards. Now we know that there's 5.5 rods or 5.5 yards in a rod. So 7 yards is bigger than a rod. So we do need to break this down. 5.5 goes into 7 once, so that's 1 rod. Subtracting 7 minus 5.5 would leave us with 1.5 or 1.5 yards. So we keep the 1.5 yards, we carry the rod. And of course 1 and 3 is 4 plus 5 is 9 rods. We can have multiple units, more than 2 units. We might have 3 yards, 2 feet, and 9 inches. And 7 yards, 1 foot, and 8 inches. I've seen several different strategies for combining triple units or 3 units like this. The easiest to me is to just go right back to what we do with whole numbers, starting at the end of the number, the right end, and moving back to the left. 9 inches plus 7 inches, or 9 inches plus 8 inches is 17 inches. Well, that's bigger than a foot. A foot goes, 12 inches is a foot. So that comes out of there once. That's 1 foot. Taking out 12 would leave us with 5 inches. So we keep our 5 inches there, and we carry our 1 foot. 1 and 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4 feet. That's more than a yard. 4 feet. I'll move this down just a little bit. 1 yard would be 3 feet, so there'd be 1 foot left over. So we're going to keep our 1 foot, carry our 1 yard. And 1, 3, and 7 makes 11 yards. Well, the next step is subtraction. We might have things like 8 feet, 7 inches, minus 2 feet, 3 inches. Again, just like addition, we do the same thing we would with whole numbers. We start at the right, work our way back to the left, and we treat each unit as a place value. 7 inches minus 3 inches makes 4 inches. 8 feet minus 2 feet is 6 feet. Again, it doesn't stay that simple. We might have 9 feet 3 inches minus 5 feet 11 inches. So again, we start on the right, working our way back to the left. We do 3 inches minus 11 inches, can't be done. So just like whole numbers or fractions or whatever, we borrow from the next place value. That's going to be the 9 feet. This becomes 8 feet. Now, similar to fractions, we can't just put a 1 in front of this. That 1 foot that we borrowed from contains 12 inches. So we have to do 3 inches plus 12 inches to get 15 inches here. Now we have 15 inches minus 11 inches is 4 inches. 8 feet minus 5 feet is 3 feet. We might have 7 yards and 1 foot minus 5 yards and 2 feet. So same type of thing. We start on the right, work our way back to the left. 1 foot minus 2 foot can't be done, so we borrow from the 7 yards. That's now 6 yards. But again, what we borrowed, that 1 yard has 3 feet in it. So we have to add 3 to our 1 foot to get 4 feet here now. 4 minus 2 is 2 feet. And 6 yards minus 5 yards is 1 yard. Come on. We might have 8 rods and 2 yards minus 3 rods and 5 yards. Again, starting on the right and working our way back to the left, we can't do 2 yards minus 5 yards. So we're going to have to borrow from the 8. That becomes 7 rods. Now this is a little bit trickier because there's going to be fractions in it, but what we're borrowing here, 1 rod, is 5.5 yards. So we add 5.5 to our 2, you get 7.5 or 7.5 yards. We subtract 7.5 minus 5 is 2.5 yards. And 7 rods minus 3 rods is 4 rods. Just like with addition, we can have our triple unit. We might have 5 yards, 2 feet, and 4 inches. Minus 3 yards, 2 feet, 9 inches. Again, we start on the right and we're going to work our way back to the left. 4 inches minus 9 inches can't be done. So we're going to borrow from the 2 feet. This is going to be 1 foot. What we borrowed was 12 inches, so we're going to add 12 to the 4 to get 16 inches here. So now we do 16 minus 9 is 7 inches. Well, 1 foot minus 2 feet can't be done, so we're going to borrow from the 5 yards. That's now 4 yards. That 1 yard contained 3 feet, so this is now 4 feet. So we have 4 feet minus 2 feet is 2 feet. 4 yards minus 3 yards is 1 yard. I'm going to have you try a couple in your notes. I have to do 6 yards, 1 foot, 8 inches. Minus 2 yards, 2 feet, 11 inches. And then we're also going to have you try six yards, 2 feet, 9 inches, plus 2 yards, 2 feet, and 7 inches. Give you about half a minute, then we'll go over those. Okay, so for the first one here, we start on the right, work our way back to the left. 8 inches minus 11 can't be done, so we're going to borrow from the foot. This is now 0 feet. We borrowed 12 inches, so this is now 20 inches. 20 inches minus 11 inches gives us 9 inches. Well, 0 feet minus 2 feet can't be done. We're going to borrow. This will become 5 yards. Of course, that adds 3 feet to this. So this is now 3 feet. 3 feet minus 2 feet is 1 foot. And 5 yards minus 2 yards is 3 yards. So 3 yards, 1 foot, 9 inches. Number 2 here. We're going to add 9 plus 7 is 16 inches. Well, that's bigger than a foot. That is 1 foot and 4 inches. So we'll keep the 4 inches, carry the 1 foot. 1, 2, and 2 makes 5 feet. Again, that is bigger than a yard. That's 1 yard and 2 feet. So we're going to keep the 2 feet and carry the 1 yard. 1 and 6 is 7, plus 2 is 9 yards. So 9 yards, 2 feet, 4 inches. multiplication with our measurements is an operation that a lot of people tend to struggle with. And it's really, there is more to it because the conversions are harder because you're not going to have just 1 foot or 1 yard to carry. It can be multiple feet or yards to carry. But let's take something like 4 feet 7 inches. And let's say we're going to, first thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at taking a measurement multiplied by what we call a scalar. Let's say we're going to multiply this by 6. So there's 2 different types of multiplication with measurements. Excuse me. There's a measurement times a scalar like this. So that'd be like 3 feet times 4. That means I need a piece that's 3 feet long, and I'm going to need 4 of them. I'm going to find the total length. 3 feet times 4 is 12 feet. Or there's a measurement times another measurement. We might have 5 feet times 3 feet. And this is giving us an area if we're doing 2 length measurements. 5 times 3 is 15. Feet times feet is feet squared. Well, if I am multiplying 2 measurements with dual units, like say 4 feet 3 inches times 2 feet 6 inches, I actually could do, the 6 inches times 3 inches and 6 inches times 4 feet, and I could do all that. We would get some square inches, some square feet, and then we would get a unit called an inch foot, which actually is a unit, used to be used, but it is not used anymore. An inch foot is just a strip that is 1 inch wide and 1 foot long. Had some applications a long time ago, has not been used for centuries. Also, we really don't like mixing when it comes to area. We don't like mixing 2 units together. When we come to talking about area, we always want to keep it in a single unit. We don't even like having 2 square feet and 5 square inches mixed together. We just say 2.04 square feet or whatever. We want it all in a single unit. So something like this where it's dual units for 2 length measurements and I'm multiplying together, I would either convert it all into inches or all into feet. If I'm converting this all into inches, it's a lot like doing our fractions and going from a mixed number to an improper fraction. Think of the inches here as twelfths. So the 4 feet times 12 is 48, plus 3 is 51 inches. Same here, 2 feet times 12 is 24, plus 6 is 30 inches. And now I can multiply. 51 inches times 30 inches is 1,530 square inches. If I wanted to convert them all into feet, I keep that same idea of this being like a mixed number. This is 4, and the inches are 3/12 of a foot. So 4 and 3/12, of course, is 4 1/4 feet. 2 feet 6 inches, well, that would be 2 6/12 of a foot. Again, just converting those inches into a fractional foot. So that's 2 1/2 feet. If I multiply that out, I'm going to convert them to decimal for my calculator. I get 10 5/8, or 10.625 square feet. One thing you'll notice here, by the way, our conversion factors don't seem to hold. This is 10.625 square feet. If I multiply that by 12, I do not get 1,530 square inches. I actually have to convert it twice. If I multiply by 12 a second time, I do get the 1,530 square inches. Because this is not inches and feet anymore. It's square inches and square feet. We have to adjust our conversion factors. We'll get to that in the days coming up. So for right now, if we're going to do any sort of multiplication where it's 1 length times another length, it's all going to be in the same units. Both measurements are going to be the same unit, and they're going to be just a single unit, not the dual units we've seen here in the previous examples today. So back to this one. Just like always, we start with on the right, and we're going to work our way backwards to the left. So we're going to do 6 times 7 inches is 42 inches. Now that, again, is more than a foot. So we have to break that down. Think of it like, a fraction if you want to, an improper fraction. 42 twelfths, because there are 12 inches in a foot. 12 goes into 42 3 times. 3 times 12 would be 36. That means there's 6 left over. So that is 3 feet and 6 inches. So we're going to keep our 6 inches, carry our 3 feet. Now we're still multiplying. 6 times 4 is 24 feet, plus the 3 we carried is 27 feet. We're at 27 feet, 6 inches. We might have 4 yards, 2 feet times, let's just go times 5. 5 times 2 feet is 10 feet. Well, that's bigger than a yard. If I could do it as long division as well. 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. There's 1 left over. This is saying that is 3 yards, 3 of the bigger unit with 1 of the smaller unit, or 1 foot, left over. So we'll keep the 1 foot here in this unit, in this place, and carry the 3 yards. Now 5 times 4 is 20, plus the 3 we carried is 23 yards. Oh, let's do 4 rods and 3.5 yards times 6. First thing we have to do is 6 times 3.5 ends up being 21 yards. Now again, we got to figure out how many rods are in that 21 yards. Remember, it is 5.5 rods in that yard. So we have to divide that out. 5.5 goes into 21 3 times. 4 won't quite go. 3 times 5.5 is 16.5. Add a 0 there to subtract. That is 4.5. So 21 yards is 3 rods with 4.5 yards left over. So keep our 4.5 yards, carry our 3 rods. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 is 27 rods. We can use our triple units again if we want. We'd have 5 yards, 2 feet, 9 inches, times 3. Well, 3 times 9 inches is 27 inches. That is 2 feet, which would be 24 inches, plus 3 inches left over. So we'll keep our 3 inches, carry our 2 feet. 3 times 2 feet is 6, plus 2 is 8 feet. That's more than a yard. In fact, that's 2 yards. 2 times 3 would be 6, so there's 2 feet left over as well. So we'll keep the 2 feet, carry the 2 yards. 3 times 5 yards is 15, plus 2 is 17 yards. Now, the one students seem to struggle with the most are when we throw in something that looks like this. 6 feet, 8 and 5/8 inches times 9. Well, we are still just doing multiplication here, but we have to do the 9 times 8 and 5/8. Or 8 and 5/8 times 9, however you want to look at it. We'll make that 9 over 1. We have to do 8 times 8 is 64, plus 5 is 69 eighths, times 9 over 1. 69 eighths is, what is that going to be? 621, I believe. 69 times 9 is 621. We double check that. Yes, 621. 8 times 1 is 8. Then we have to convert that back. Well, 8 goes into 62 7 times. That would be 56. Subtract, we get 6. Bring down the 1. So this will be another 7 times. 56. There'll be 5 left over. So that is 77 5/8 inches. We still need to break that down into feet and inches. Well, 6 feet would be 72 inches. So we take 72 out of there, that would leave us with 5 5/8 inches. So we are going to keep the 5 5/8 inches and carry the 6 feet. Now I've got 9 times 6, which is 54, plus the 6 we carried is 60 feet. Division. Division is that operation, of course, that looks different. It's the one we start on the left and we go to the right. Again, it's because it's that repeated subtraction. But we might have something like 7 feet 8 inches divided by 4. Well, 4 goes into 7 feet only once. That is the feet place, so we're going to label that as feet. 1 foot times 4 is 4 feet. We subtract, there's 3 feet left over. Now, before I move over to the inches, I have to take these remaining feet and put them into inches. 3 feet becomes 36 inches. So now when I bring down these 8 inches, I have to combine them with those 36 to get 44 inches. Now I have 4 goes into 44 inches 11 times. That's 11 inches. There is nothing left over. I might have 29 feet and 9 inches. Divided by 7. 7 goes into 29 4 times. So we're going to call that 4 feet. Well, 4 feet times 7 is 28 feet. So that leaves us with 1 foot left over. Now again, before I bring down the 9 inches, I have to convert that foot into inches. 1 foot is 12 inches. And now I can bring down the 9, combine it with the 12, I now have 21 inches. 21 inches divided by 7 is 3. So it's 3 inches. Any questions? Okay, so let's look at the metric system. One of the things that makes standard length calculations so difficult is we have that dual unit system. In fact, we saw somewhere there's even a triple unit, yards, feet, and inches. 4 feet, 3 inches is a very common statement of length in the standard measuring system. In the metric, we don't have that. We would never see something listed as 2 meters, 83 inches. They don't do it that way. They designed the metric system so that they didn't need to do it that way. Because the conversions are so neat and smooth between units, this can either be listed as exactly 2.83 meters, or, oops, I put inches there, that should have been centimeters, sorry. 2 meters, 83 centimeters. It'd very smoothly be listed as 2.83 meters or 283 centimeters. The conversions are just moving the decimal place, so there is no rounding. And the reason they use the dual units in the standard system, now this one wouldn't be bad. That would just be 4.25 feet. But if we had something like 5 feet 2 inches. If I wanted to list that all as feet, that is 5.16666666666. You get the picture. Feet. We get a lot of repeating decimals, non-terminating decimals. So if we wanted to list them all as feet, it would be rounded. So that's why we've accepted that we're going to just list them as feet and inches with those dual units. So the moral of the story is, in the metric system, the operations are a lot simpler because we only have a single unit to deal with. If I have the worst that we could have is something like this, 2.48 meters plus 190 centimeters. Before I can answer that, all I have to do is either convert the meters into centimeters or the centimeters into meters. And to do that, I just need to know what I want my answer in. If we know that the answer is indicated in meters, so we know we want the answer to be meters, I'm going to leave this one as 2.48 meters, and I'm going to convert my centimeters into meters. Well, looking at our conversion chart, if you recall, we had meters, the decimeters, and centimeters. So to get from centimeters to meters is 2 spots to the left. So my decimal point goes 2 spots to the left. That's 1.9 meters. So 2.48 meters plus 1.9 meters is 4.38 meters. So it's just a matter of getting them into the same unit and then combining the numbers. Adding or subtracting, of course, we keep the same name or keep the same unit. Multiplying or dividing, we would combine those units. So I've been kind of cutting you short on homework lately, or homework time. So I'm going to give you a little time to work here. This is a little bit larger assignment today anyway. There's going to be pages out of both the big book and the little book. In the big book, pages 283 through 285. This is exercises 8-2A and 8-2B. Do the odds in each of those. Excuse me. Also then on page 285 through 287, this is exercise 8-2C and 8-2D. Do the odds there as well. In each of those, I think the first 6 problems is like a review. So if you want to skip the first 6, 1 through 6, you can do that. We have page 292 through 295. Exercise 8-4. You can do the odds there. And the last page out of the big book, page 317 through 318. Exercise 9-4. Do the odds there. And then finally in the little book, unit 29. The odds. So we have about 13 or 14 minutes left here. I'll give you that time to get started on homework. I'll stop the recording and I'll be on here if you have any questions. Or if you